Thanks, Stan. Well, tomorrow, 13 New England students will make contact with an astronaut who is live in space on the International Space Station. And joining me now this afternoon to tell us a little bit about what's going on tomorrow is Fred Kremerer, who is a program director for the ARIS program. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here tomorrow, Fred.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. It's a pleasure to be here. So tomorrow, 13 lucky students here in New England are going to talk to an astronaut, Bob Hines, live on the International Space Station via radio link from a station in Belgium. This is part of a program that's designed to inspire young people to learn about science, technology, math, and engineering in school.
And how is that going to work tomorrow? Because obviously being down here at the Big E and being in space above Europe is obviously quite the distance you got to get to.
Yes, it is. So we're going to be at the Big E Arena. The program will start at 1:20 p.m. with a whole bunch of cool videos on space. We'll have a few speakers, and at 2:30 we will connect to a radio station via telephone line that's located in Belgium. His call sign is ON4ISS. He will call the amateur radio on the space station. Astronaut Bob Hines will make contact, and we'll relay the conversation between the kids here at the Big E and Bob Hines on the space station via Europe, and a radio link up to the space station via amateur radio.
It's very impressive. What is the astronaut expected to talk about? Was he going to tell the kids about what it's like to be in space?
Well, the kids actually came up with 20 questions that they would like to ask him, and he's got those questions. We uplinked them to the space station about a week ago, and he's going to be prepared to answer the kids' questions live and tell them. One of the more interesting ones was, one student asked, "It's my dream to do what you're doing. How do I get there?" So I'm particularly looking forward to hearing the answer to that question.
Certainly. And if people want to come out to see that happen tomorrow, how can they do that?
Yeah, so just come on out to the Big E tomorrow. The program is in the Big E Arena. That's the big arena here up in the corner by the rides. It starts at 1:20 p.m., speakers at 2, and the kids will make contact at 2:30.
Very exciting. So certainly something that everyone wants to be here for tomorrow, to talk to an astronaut who is in space.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, we'd encourage the kids also to bring your friends and family and children. And this is a great opportunity to pursue something that hopefully will inspire your young kids to pursue engineering and math and science in school, which is really what we're all about with this program.
Yes, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Fred, for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it, and definitely something you want to look forward to tomorrow at 1:20 at the Big E Arena. So thank you for that, Fred. Now, if you want to check out other events going on, you can check out our exclusive Big E content on our Western Mass News app. Just click on the Big E page. That's brought to you by Jelly Bellies Pools and Spas. Still